Hey fams, this is the man of the hour, sending out some positive love to all our international family. I want to say thank you again for all the love and the support that you've given us over the years. And I just want to say, remember to catch the latest episodes of A Slice of Canada, which is going to be November 30th and December as well, with my co-host, Wanda Ryan. Today, we have an amazing guest by the name of Mark Walmsley. Mark wears many hats, being Chief Culture Vulture at the Arts and Culture Network, a brand discovery workshop host, and the founder of the brand strategist and marketing consultant. Also, the chair of the board at Trustees over in, I hope I say it, in Chelmsford, England. And Mark, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm very, very, very good. Thank you, JONva. I've been excited about doing this with you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Now, like I said, I know we've had a very busy schedule, but before we jump in, just want to say that you have a very impressive resume. And I was looking at then, we're going to jump into that. And I'm like, wow, so many different hats. How do you do it?
I don't know. I think it's the sort of irreversible march of the portfolio career. I think most of us, I read somewhere that by 2035, 70% of Americans will have two sources of income, more than one source of income. So I think it's not only the storms you send over the Atlantic Ocean to us, it's your workplace trends, I think.
Very good, very good. Well, I'm going to take the audience seat here. And you know what? Like I always do with my guests, sit back and I'd like you to share your journey so other folks like yourself and myself can kind of, have a takeaway and learn some things that they can also incorporate into the things that they're doing. So you have the stage, my friend, and walk us through the story of Mark Walmsley.
Lovely. So I'm in the UK. I'm in England, in Essex, about 40 miles east of London, where the North Sea meets the River Thames on its way to Amsterdam, pretty much. I was hitting my mother's saucepans with cooking spoons at the age of 6. And so my parents decided I should have drum lessons, which they did. I went through youth orchestras and school bands and things, and then I find myself at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama in London, and studied timpani and percussion and orchestral percussion. And while I was there, I set up a music agency to book my fellow students out on gigs, and that started a business called Music Plus, which got quite big. When I left college, I was teaching drums, including at the American School in St John's Wood in London, and playing. I was number 5 in the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra with Simon Rattle conducting for about 12 years. And I got to play the triangle at Carnegie Hall, and I thought I've probably peaked, and found my way into digital marketing, did the orchestra's first website, and then set up a web design agency in the mid-90s and got lots of clients in the arts and culture sector, and then kind of took a career detour into events, but also through pharmaceutical marketing, med tech. And then in 2010, when LinkedIn started letting people start groups, I started the arts and culture group on LinkedIn. And I didn't know it, but I was one of the first 100,000 users of LinkedIn back in 2003-4. So it, more from luck than judgment, got quite a following on LinkedIn. So that was the logical place to do it. And so I set it up in 2010 and then promptly forgot all about it. But it grew on its own, it has a mind of its own. And then as we were approaching lockdown, I thought, there's 12,000 people in this group now. I really ought to get them together somehow. So I started hosting random speed networking events just for 1 hour, where everybody gets to meet 7 or 8 people for 5 minutes. And the feedback was great. And we had some wonderful success stories. People got hired during those meetings. Artists were commissioned. Architects were hired. It was great. So the Arts and Culture Network is everything from architecture to zither playing. We embrace everybody working in or around the performing arts, the visual arts, the literary arts, and the creative industries. And so moving on, now have 85,000 members across 4 LinkedIn groups, which is great, and a growing subscriber base. So we have a kind of inner circle subscription program. It's only $12 a month, but you get interviewed, published, and promoted for that. and I can share some contacts from the network. For example, we have an author in Washington who's a full member, and she wanted to know if there was anyone in the network with working in the publishing sector in North America, and I was able to send her 152 names, and she's gradually working her way through those. And it's a warm approach because she and they have me and the LinkedIn group in common. So it's turned into a bit of a mission, though, rather like JFK. I've got an arts race going on, not a space race. By the end of the decade, I aim to have 2,000 subscribers, and I want to be giving away half of the revenue. So okay. We're going to be doing that by 2030. So that could be a guitar for your unemployed neighbor's daughter. It could be to support a festival of Inuit art in northern Canada. It could be to provide shelter for a street dance crew in Kampala. But the members will all nominate the good causes. They'll all then vote on who should get the money that month. It could be $10,000, $15,000 by then. And then but there won't be any red tape. There won't be any protracted grant application forms to fill in and the like. So that's the plan, JONva. We'll see.
Good. It sounds like a very good plan. We'll talk offline. I'm very interested in some of the things that you sent to me, so we can definitely kind of like navigate through that. My next question, and again, thank you for sharing that, Mark. As an international business expert, what's your outlook in 2024 for individuals looking to enter the business arena?
Absolutely do it, but be focused. That would be my advice. I run a workshop around focused marketing, and it's inspired by the marketing philosopher Seth Godin. And he said to me once, find your smallest viable audience and become the best option for it. I had to write that down, and that spawned a concept called minimalist marketing, where I invite people to choose just one product or service, one small viable audience for it, and one channel through which to reach them, and then not change that until you've hit your targets. So if anyone was starting a business next year, what makes you different? What makes you better? What makes you remarkable? So that you are noticed, remembered, and talked about, and ideally have an identifying characteristic. So Disney, their identifying characteristic is magic.
Okay.
Harley Davidson is rebel. Some concept that people can associate with you and no one else would be really good. And the other trick we do is find the operator word. So my wife is an accountant, but when I introduce her, she's a forensic accountant. Okay. A friend of mine is an osteopath, but I introduce him as a preventative osteopath. It gets people asking more questions in those meetings, which is useful. So yeah, to summarize, do it, but be really focused.
Okay, well understood. Well, an interesting fun fact, you were massive ceremonies for the Duke of Edinburgh, and, you perform a dangerous stunt as Batman on live TV. So please tell us about that.
The Batman one was a scream. I used to, as part of the events company I created, we were asked to do a launch party for 300 journalists for Batman Forever, the video game. And so we hired a stuntman who was going to drop through 2 stories of a stairwell through a sugar glass ceiling with a bat logo rotating on it onto a stage with a fan underneath it, raise his cape, and suddenly Batman's in the room. All went fine in rehearsals, but the stuntman got delayed. And so the only person there on the night who could get in the suit and didn't have anything else to do was me. So I had to do the whole thing. It was the suit from the film. So it didn't go according to plan. The stunt guy, I was expecting them to have some kind of drag mechanism. It wasn't. It was some gardening gloves, a piece of scaffolding pole, and a climbing rope. And he didn't really lower me. He dropped me, and I took the whole structure out and landed on my bottom on this stage. Wow. And Batman. So I stood up rather quickly and put the cape out like this, and didn't realize that because I'd taken half of the wooden structure out on my descent, that it would come back up at me in splinters from the action of the fan. So that was embarrassing. But to cut a long story short, I then had to do a walkabout with all these people, and I thought, right, I'm going to keep the suit because this is fancy dress parties sorted for life. It had removable bits, and it was nipples. It was great. The suit from the film. And then a couple of days later, the film company rang up and said, where's the suit? And I said, well, I think I might have brought it home. And they said, well, you can either get it to us today, or you can go and open a toy shop in Aberdeen in Scotland on Saturday. And I thought, I don't want to do either of those. So I said, I'll do the opening, but I'll want £1,000. So they said, Okay. So that's a whole story in itself. But yeah, I met Barbie on the way up. She was opening the same toy store. So it was an absolute hilarious. It was fun.
So, as we come to a close, Mark, I'd like you to share a quote that will inspire other listeners as they can navigate through their life's journeys with some hope of achieving their dreams as well. So, take a time to ponder and just you can take the stage from there.
Oh, that's a great question. I love that, JONva. Thank you. I read a book once by a palliative nurse who recorded all of the last things that people said before they died. And it was around, the subject matter. She was saying, nobody said, I wish I'd had more money or wish I'd had more partners. She said that the enduring common theme was, I wish I'd been truer to myself. So I would suggest trust your instincts and sort yourself out before you try and sort anything else out. It's a bit like, when you're on an aeroplane and they say, when the masks drop down, please secure your own first before you help your children. And it's a kind of psychological sense to that, really. I used to love the film Sitting on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. And it was at a time in my life when I was being pulled from pillar to post. I was in the squeeze generation with demanding ex-partners, parents and children all asking and work colleagues all asking for a piece of you. And in the middle eight of Otis Redding's song, he gets a bit heated and he sings the line, I can't do what 10 people tell me to do. And you probably know it. And that summed it all up for me at the time. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to kind of start pleasing myself a bit more and saying no. So there we go. There's say no more often.
Okay, well said, my friend. And thank you for taking the time, because I know you are an extremely busy individual, but I always do like to call back my guests and see what they're doing. I will get the links from you where we can support you as well, our global audience, because we love to do that. And like I said, until our next meetup, we'll follow offline regarding the different groups, because I'm very interested in that and wanted to be a part of it. So again, thank you, my friend, and have an amazing day.
Thank you so much, JONva. This has been great fun.
Okay.